Hey guys, welcome back to Seinfeld Saturday. I haven't done one of these in a couple of months, so I figured it was long overdue. So we had finished season one on the last one, so we're actually starting season two now. I'm going to be talking about episode one from season two. So in my opinion, whatever magic Jerry and Larry David had going on in season one, it would intensify for season two. Literally everything is just turned up a notch on every level. And basically what that was that the cast was starting to become actual close friends outside of work, and that was actually coming into the show, and you could really feel it. They weren't just cast members, they were actually good friends. And not to get too ahead of myself, but this first episode of season two is better, I think, than any of the first season episodes. And this one is titled The Ex-Girlfriend. And it starts off with George and Jerry sitting in Jerry's car, with George kind of hyping himself up to break up with his girlfriend. How to justify it? She trapped him in the first place. This was before the days of the cell phone and just ending things with a quick text message. I can actually relate to George here. I've done this with literally every girl I've ever dated. What they were originally going to do, they ended up, not going with this. But they were going to come up with a plan where George actually stages a kidnapping, where he's with her and they're on the street or whatever, and he would pay two guys to come and fake kidnap him, and then he would just hide from her until she gave up on him, thinking that he was lost forever. That would have been kind of cool, but obviously they didn't use it. So after a few minutes, Elaine comes down and gets in the car with Jerry and George. She argues with George about not wanting to sit in the back seat, so they end up all sitting up front. George refuses to sit in the middle, though. This was like 1990. Remember bench seats? The next day, Jerry is making a phone call. Kramer flies in trying to get Jerry to taste his cantaloupe, because it came from Joe's fruit stand, of course. Joe would be in at least one other episode that I can think of later on. So George comes in and is all mega excited that his breakup went really well. And this is another scene stealer from Jason Alexander. Kramer asks if he can have Marlene's phone number. George says no way, and Kramer tries to get him to taste the cantaloupe. The only catch to the breakup is that George left some books at her place, and he needs Jerry to go get them. And this is where things get really interesting. So Jerry agrees to meet Marlene at Monk's Cafe, because where else would they go? So he can get George's books, and she suggests that they should be friends. He reluctantly agrees. The next day, Jerry takes George to his chiropractor, and George doesn't feel like he got enough treatment to justify the $75 bill. Classic fucking George. Later that night, Jerry is hanging out with Marlene, feeling guilty about it, especially after she kisses him and, he goes along with it. He's worried about upsetting George, but, with how neurotic he is and all, but everyone's surprised, George doesn't care. So Jerry is hanging out with Marlene later that same night, and she nervously tells him that they can't see each other anymore. She refuses to tell him the reason, but Jerry persists, and this is so great. It turns out that she saw his stand-up and didn't think it was funny. And she said something about how, this is one of my favorite Seinfeld moments ever. She says something about how, I just can't be with someone that if I don't respect what they do. And Jerry goes, but you're a cashier. She's like, well, whatever. So anyways, you don't see Marlene again. Her and Jerry break things off, and that's the end of the episode. All right, guys, I'll see you again back for season 2, episode 2, whenever I get around to that. Cheers.